going to become invulnerable to the cold in 1 week. Because jackets are just too expensive these days.
Over the next 6 days, I will be training myself to endure increasingly more difficult cold challenges, and on day 7, I will put my invulnerability to the test by walking for 6 hours from York University to the CN Tower in the middle of Canadian winter with nothing but a tank top and shorts.
I figured that if I can go 1 whole day in sub-0 degree temperature without feeling cold, I've proven myself. So without further ado, let's get to the first day's challenge.
The very first thing that I'm going to try to do to help myself become immune to the cold is I'm going to start taking some cold showers. I know that the first step is usually supposed to be something easy, but just the idea of taking a cold shower, I already know a lot of you guys are going to think this is not for you. And yeah, cold showers, they do suck, but hey, you can get used to them. So it's going to be a pretty rough but reasonable start, I think. Even though I can't exactly show you myself taking a shower, I want to explain to you that my water was turned all the way down to the lowest setting, and I do have this short sound clip of me suffering. So this is basically my setup. It's nothing really special, but I'm not going to use any of the blankets. I'm going to sleep without any pajamas, just in my underwear, and I'm going to have this fan constantly blowing cold air at my body because I want to acclimatize to the cold as quickly as possible. If I could turn down the thermostat in my house, I would, but I'm living with other people, and I'm not trying to piss them off, of course, so this will have to do. This is day 2, and I may be the only person here that would consider this a good thing, but there's actually a snowstorm right now, which is a perfect opportunity for me to exercise my resistance to the cold. This is what I'm going to wear. I'm just in a t-shirt and shorts, and I guess I'm going to improve on my shower time, which was 7 minutes. I'm going to try and stay outside in that blizzard for 10 minutes, and we'll see how that goes. The time starts now. Aside from figuring out where to put my camera, the biggest challenge here was staying calm and not talking myself out of doing this challenge. The biggest tip, in my opinion, is to keep a level head and not panic, because once the panic settles in, that's when the problems come. Halfway through, I did take off my shirt to make the challenge harder, but I'm not quite ready to show you guys what I look like shirtless, sorry. In the end, I successfully lasted 10 minutes, picked up my camera, and headed straight back inside for warmth. Day 3 was essentially the same exercise, but I thought that by eating an ice cream cone at the same time, I would actually challenge myself more by cooling my body internally. And despite what it looks like, this is actually 2 degrees cooler than the day before. But I had already noticed that I got better at managing my self-control, and I once again took my shirt off halfway through. How about it? I added 2 minutes to my previous time. On to day 4. As you'll notice, it is nighttime. The reason why I'm doing this at night is because, well, today is actually Christmas, and my mom's gonna be home. And if my mom saw what I was doing right now, she'd be extremely worried for me. Remember that trend from a couple of years ago? The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge? Well, I'm about to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge again, but we're outside in the freezing cold. Right now, it is negative 11 degrees, but it feels like negative 18. Pouring water on myself was definitely the hardest iteration of me standing outside in the cold. But thanks to what I had learned from the previous 2 days, I had learned to have control over my senses, and this, despite being as hard as it was actually not that bad. 1, 2, 3, go! 2, 3. Oh, my glasses. The previous 2 days really helped me with my self-control, and I actually began thinking this challenge was easy until day 5 came around. My plan for today is to not rely on the air, but I'm going to submerge myself in snow, kind of like I'm at the beach. I don't think I'm going to be able to really submerge myself the same way that people do on the beach. I'm just going to, submerge my legs at the very least, and then pour a bucket of snow on top of my chest, and hopefully that'll cover the majority of my body. As I started to put the snow onto my legs, I could already tell that this is going to be a lot harder than the last few days. But when the snow touched my chest, that's when I really started to freak out. As you can tell, for the first time in this challenge, I am actually shaking and shivering. Even though I don't feel that cold. Just 2 more days. This is the last day before I actually attempt the final challenge to prove that I've become invulnerable to the cold. And I don't actually have a bath in my home. What I do have is a large container, so that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to fill that up with water, cold water, and I have 2 ice packs. And we're going to try and see if I can take an ice bath for 20 minutes. The idea behind the last few challenges was to push myself beyond what was expected of me. Because if I can handle water, which is 25 times more effective at removing heat from the body than air, then I should be able to handle cold weather. I think I'm ready for tomorrow. It is day 7. And it's also 2 p.m. So I'm starting this a lot later than I would have wanted to, and I need to do this as quickly as possible because I'm going to lose daylight, and I don't like being downtown by myself in the dark. But I'm in a tank top right now and shorts. I've called my Uber. It doesn't even feel cold to me anymore, and I'm going to set out to prove what I said I would at the very start of this video. This is it. My Uber just dropped me off. Let's get walking. It's gonna take 4 hours at least. I was wrong. It was more like 6 hours. Because the challenge was designed hard and I prepared for it as best as I could. If I walked out on day 1 and tried to survive sub-zero degree weather for 6 hours, I'd probably have quit after not that long. But to challenge myself day to day to an extent greater than what was expected of me, I felt equipped to handle whatever the weather held for me. So, I walked, and eventually the cold just stopped bothering me. Sure, the walking was painful because I didn't prepare for that, but the cold, despite making my skin freeze, never once made me feel like giving up. And so, I felt unstoppable, as if the cold was some metaphor for a mental barrier holding me back from reaching my target destination. And the CN Tower represented my aspirations, so with that cold barrier gone, who's to say whether I'd succeed or not? I can't tell you. I'll just show you.